today's just classic install video with this Vibrant Performance vacuum block. But before we get started, merch available, first link down below. Alright, now back to the stuff you actually care about. This, like I said, Vibrant Performance, this is a vacuum block. I got it from Summit, you can get it from a bunch of other places, Jegs, I think Vibrant Performance has their own site. You can get it on eBay. There are eBay versions that are a whole lot cheaper. This was, I think, 48, 49 bucks, something like that. The eBay ones are about 20, 25. They'll pretty much do the same thing. But I had some, it's called Summit bucks, so I splurged and got this. And this is exactly how it's going to show up. Right here's some of the mounting bolts that come with it. Well, only the 2. And it has all 7 plugs in it. And here is the main vacuum port that you'll use to get your source, and then all 6 of these littler ones are the ones that you will use for your boost gauge or your blow-off valve, things like that. Which means you are going to need an adapter. In my case, this is a 3/8, I believe, NPT fitting to a 1/2 inch barbed fitting, because the vacuum source that I'm going to be using is 1/2 inch, and which means that I'm also going to be using this hose so that I can route this out of the way, and a 1/2 inch T to tee into the source. And then here are some of the fittings that I'm using. Yeah, these are 1/8 inch NPT to 1/8 inch barbed fitting, and some self-tapping screws that I'm going to use to be mounting it. And then here is a bunch of vacuum line that I'm going to be using for the blow-off valve and the boost gauge and stuff like that. Now I just want to go on record saying that this is not necessary at all for a turbo or supercharged or anything like that application, but it's just more convenient, it's easier, and it's a lot cleaner and nicer, I think. There's nothing wrong with, especially in this case when the intake manifold's plastic, just drilling a hole through there and sinking in like a port like this to get your vacuum from. But again, then you're gonna have a bunch of holes drilled in it and hoses everywhere. This, all you gotta do is just tee into a source, which in this case is gonna be the brake booster line, and then run the hose to this. You can mount this anywhere, and then you got all 6 ports taken care of, out of the way in the same place, and you can route them wherever you want. So like I said, it's not necessary, it's just a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, and a little bit more efficient too. And like I said, this vacuum block was like 48 or 49 bucks. You can get them a lot cheaper. The eBay ones were 20, 25, something like that. I'm sure they'll work just as well. All it is just a chunk of aluminum with some holes in it. It's really hard to screw that up. And then the fittings, I think this one was like 3 bucks. These ones were $2.50 a piece, something like that. And then this one, 2 bucks. This Turbo Smart line I think was 10 bucks maybe. And then the hose was another, I don't know, 6 bucks, something like that. So it's not outrageously expensive at all, and you could do it a whole lot cheaper, but this is just the way I'm doing it. Anyway, let's start throwing it on the truck. Alright, so the first thing we gotta do is find out where we want to put it. Now there's already a lot going on this side, so I'm kind of leaning over here. And the most ideal spot would just be right there on the firewall. Oh god, that was a horrible sound. Would just be right there on the firewall. It's nice and out of the way, and should be able to route things and keep it really clean. So I am really leaning towards that. And it'll be real easy to get to all the lines in case one of them blows out or splits or something like that, or I want to add more to it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it there. So now what I'm gonna do is take out the fittings that I know I'm not gonna use, which are obviously this main one and then probably a couple of the ports. Put in these new fittings, and while I'm doing that, I also am going to, let's see, where is it? I'm gonna use Teflon tape on all of the threads, just to make sure everything's nice and sealed up and there isn't any leaks anywhere. You can use Teflon tape, you can use pipe dope. I'm sure just a general like ultra black or ultra gray sealant would work fine too. Basically, you just want a good seal. Now with this Teflon tape, it's best to go with the thread so that as you're screwing it in, it doesn't try to clump up or anything like that. I don't know if it'll really make a difference, but it's easy enough to do while you're doing it, so might as well do it. It's easy enough to do it, so might as well do it. That should be fine. I'm gonna use these two center ones just because I like symmetry. Do the same thing with this one. Then I'm going to go through and seal up all these other ports too, just to be safe. Where did I want it? I'd like to go up higher, but this main port will be too into the firewall. So I'll drop it down a little bit so that I can get that hose on there. I want to keep it kind of in line with this top cowl. I think right there should be good as I move it around. Yeah, let me just... Let me just get this first one. Alright, so now I can use this to drill the first hole and get that mounted. And once that one's in place, I can do the other one while this is actually in the spot. All I gotta do is just make sure it's sitting how I want it, and that's pretty dang close. Right about there. Get that one tightened up. That's looking pretty good. Now I can do the other side. All right, now that the block is permanently attached, we can do the easier part, which is just running the lines. Now we're going to start with the main vacuum line, which, like I said earlier, it's just going to attach there. I'm not going to leave it like that. And then we're going to tee the other end into our vacuum source, which in this case is going to be the brake booster line. Now to do that, obviously you'll need a tee. This was, I think I said like $2 or $3 at a local parts store. And then all you got to do is just cut this, put the tee in, and then pretty much good to go there. You might want to clamp it if you're going to be seeing higher boost, but it should be okay. It should be okay being barbed, but never hurts to steer to the safe side. Now we just got to decide where on this line I want to cut it and tee into it. I'm kind of leaning on doing it back here, more closer to the firewall, but then it's just a pain in the butt to get the tee into, but it'll look a lot nicer. Or I could do it out here and be more serviceable. Oh, actually, yeah, I could just have it go down and back and not be an idiot about it. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. That way it's still kind of hidden, but still serviceable.
Yeah, yes.
Ah, no turning back now. Maybe I should have put it somewhere else. So, route it just like this. Try to do the same thing with the other side. There we go. Now I'll just feed this side around behind the intake and over to the vacuum block. Alright, so we got it teed in over there, running behind the intake and keeping it off the motor. Then it comes down, loops around over there, and then you just slide it right on like that. I might go back eventually and cut this down and do a sharper angle, but for now, I think that'll be fine. All right, now the final part of this is running the line to the blow-off valve and boost gauge, which is literally as simple as running the line to the blow-off valve and boost gauge. Literally, it's kind of like Twizzlers. That's neat. All I gotta do is just connect.
So I have to put a washer on it now. I did heat it right up.
So we're just gonna connect this side to one of the ports on the vacuum block, and then connect the other side to your blow-off valve. It's really pretty straightforward from here on out, and that's pretty much the entire install. So I'm gonna finish up a couple things, load the new tune in, and hopefully fire up the truck. All right, got the truck all back together, got the new tune in it. Hopefully I got all the injector data right. Everything should be all buttoned up, and we're about ready to fire it up for the first time since having it all apart. There might be a little bit of smoke off the headers, but there shouldn't be too much because it's powder coating, it was baked on. We'll see.
Just turn your key on. Yep, shooting all over.
All right, take one, no bueno. The return rail is leaking.
Yeah, we do.
From where?
Where's the intake for that LS motor out there?
At my house. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's squirting. All right, we're gonna deal with this real quick and then try again. All right, so I think we got it fixed. It was a stupid little mistake on my part. If you go back a few videos where I install the injectors in the intake, at one point I hold up an O-ring and show you a tear in it, and I say, well, now's the time to replace it, huh? I didn't replace it. So I ran back to my place, stole an O-ring off another 5.3 intake I had, and that one was pretty much brand new looking. Test the key a couple times, didn't squirt out anywhere. So let's try to fire it up for the first time for the second time. All right, so one of the things that we think might have been the problem is when I took the intake off, I took this off and I completely forgot to put it back on, so there was a big old hole right into the intake, which was a huge vacuum leak. So before I put a new tune in it, we're gonna connect this back up just for the time being and see if that makes any differences. If it doesn't, I'll put the new tune in it with some stolen injector data from Matt Happel, Sloppy Mechanics, and we'll see if that works. Now we're flashing in the new tune. Hopefully that'll take care of things. I stole this injector data from Matt Happel, Sloppy Mechanics. If you go to the sloppymechanics.com page, he has a full tune cabinet with a bunch of different tunes you can steal a bunch of information from. Let's just try it, see if it did anything. It'd be nice if it did. Sounds better already. Rev it now. Alright, the coolant's at 91 degrees right now, so I'm not going to let it run for too long. I just want to get out and hear it myself. You think you got it?
Don't film it.
I gotta film it. Oh, you're spilling a little bit. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Alright, our coolant level's up to 120. It's in the top right there. Coolant level's at 120. Everything else is looking really good. Alright, I'm not going to let it run for too much longer because it's going to start filling up the garage with dead gases. But I want to rev it up a little bit. Put your hand here. I want to see if that blow-off valve's working. Feeling anything? Yeah? Cool. Alright, so the blow-off valve is working then. That's good. Oh, I want to see what the boost gauge says. Is it reading vacuum? It is reading vacuum. We're at, I think, 8 pounds of vacuum. 8 or 9. See, and the way I did have it hooked up, I had the boost gauge right here, right on the housing, so it never read vacuum. It only read boost constantly. So this is a much more precise way of seeing what the engine's actually seeing boost-wise. Fuck, that sounds good. Alright, you can kill it. God, if that sounds a third as good on camera as it does in person, oh man, you guys will be creaming. That thing sounds so fucking good. And that blow-off valve is moving tons of air, so that's nice. Everything seems to be perfect. Not seeing any more leaks. Oh man, I'm so excited. I am so excited. Alright, that's gonna do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.